This is review problem number 4 for assessment number 4. In this problem, they give you two functions. So given f of x equals 4x plus 3 and g of x equals x squared, find g of f of x, f of g of x, f of x, g of x. Now, keep in mind, this is not a multiplication sign. It would be a like closed dot, smaller dot. That's the composition sign. So they're saying basically plug one function into the other. Let's go ahead and go through each of these. So we have g of f of x. Now I like to write the whole thing out. So I'm going to say that's g of f of x. This makes more sense to me. I like to rewrite this as this form where I can see f of x, right? My inside number or inside function is being plugged into g of x. And then I like to replace the f of x with what f of x is, 4x plus 3. So I can say g of 4x plus 3. So now I know I'm plugging 4x plus 3 into the g function. So I plug this into that function and replace the x variable with 4x plus 3 squared. Now, sometimes they'll want you to actually factor this out. If you factor this out, you should end up with 4x plus 3 times 4x plus 3. Go ahead and multiply that out. That's 16x squared. 4x times the 3 is 12x. 3 times the 4 is another 12x. And 3 times the 3 is 9. So we end up with 16x squared plus 24x plus 9. So that's g of f of x. Now let's do f of g of x. So we can again say f of g of x is equal to f, plug in the g function, so that's x squared, which we plug that in again, and that's 4. It's replacing the x value in the f function. So it's 4x squared plus 3, which is 4x squared plus 3. So this is answer there. There's our answer for the previous one. My marker's kind of dying. I'm going to switch to green. Let's do that. And now we're going to do f of x. So f of x, which is f of x. So I'm plugging f back into itself. So that's f of 4x plus 3. So I'm plugging 4x plus 3 into the 4x plus 3 function, which means I'm replacing the x value with 4x plus 3. So this is 4x plus 3 plus 3. Probably distribute here, that makes sense. So that's 16x plus 12 plus 3 for a total of 16x plus 15. Finally, let's do g of x. That's g of x. I'm plugging that into, so the function g of x, which is x squared, plugging it into itself. I'm replacing the x value here with x squared, so that's x squared squared, which is x to the 4th. That's composition of functions. So remember, this symbol does not mean multiplication. That means you're taking two functions, you're going to plug them into each other in a certain order, and the inside one always is plugged into the outside one.